Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts like the charts behind me. And so in this video, I am going to be exploring a little bit of unusual whales, and I am probably not going to be editing this video just because I've been at work all day and I got work tomorrow and I'm kind of tired. So I apologize about that in advance. But yeah, in this video, I am just going to go over some stocks that I have been really interested in following, just, for picking up shares, swinging them, whatever, or, looking into the options on them. And so the past couple months, I have been using unusual whales to follow these tickers to try and get in on plays. And, I've really just been learning about the great tool that Unusual Whales is. And so that service, at least what I'm paying for it, is $48 a month. I believe it's been up to $50 a month. But from what I have experienced over the past couple months, if you are willing to put in the time to learn how to utilize it, it more than pays for itself. Over the past couple months, I have made a lot of mistakes using it, and that is also a factor of me getting a better sense of how to manage my emotions. And, because we're all different in that sense. And I think that's a big factor with options, because not only are you in a trade and trading on volatility, but there's also a ticking clock with the expiration for these options. And so I think it's really important to learn how to manage that. And once that kind of gets mastered, I think that Unusual Whales is a really great tool. And I think I'm getting very close to being pretty proficient at using it, but I'm not the best at identifying when it's time to enter and stuff like that. I think I'm a little delayed or a little premature in identifying them. And so Unity software is one where I was actually premature in identifying this one as a great trade. There's a video that I'll pull up in just a minute where I went over this downtrending channel about 3 months ago. And I was talking about price coming down to the base of this channel over here. As you can see, it never did that. But, I was, on the right track using technical analysis to identify a long-standing trend and, the potential for a bottom and a reversal. Whether that's for a breakout of this channel or just, a reversal, from a halfway point or something like that. But, so if we do zoom in on the chart over here, I put out the video in June. So, pretty much probably right around where these lines are, I started to, notice that this might be a really great dip buy for getting to the top of the channel, representing, let's see, over 100% move to the upside. But I didn't know when exactly the bottom would be. I did catch this bounce a little bit, but just with shares, small position, because I wasn't paying too close attention to the options, not comfortable with knowing how to identify when those are good to swing or not. And then, based on the technical analysis, I was waiting for a pullback to this alert at 1550, and we didn't get that. We got a low on September 6th of 1569. And so, I was just pennies away from catching the dip here, but that would have just been for, a very small position, a few shares, just kind of getting more comfortable with my technical analysis. But around this time, there was a lot of chatter on X, on YouTube, wherever, of people talking about Unity software using Unusual Whales to swing options contracts. And from this point, they've gone up a lot, those calls. So a lot of money's been made there. And I've been able to capture a little bit of that. But at the same time, I mention this a lot. I'm a little fish. I'm not a killer whale or anything like that. But I'd like to think that, I'm not a manatee. I'm not dumb. I'm not just munching on the seagrass. I do think about what I'm doing. I'm just, a small-time player. And so the way that I have been assessing how to manage options is, I've been kind of developing rules for myself. And so I'm just going to go over those really briefly with you. It's very short. One is, Don't establish a position that's multiple contracts, because I'm probably going to get too emotional, too stressed out, and I'm probably going to cut losses at the bottom, or just let it go to zero. So don't do that. Just do one contract at a time and swing for 20%. And I've done that a number of times over the course of a day, week. And so a 20% swing over the course of a day or a week is really good. Good to not get greedy, as I'm learning how to understand unusual whales. And so once I get more comfortable with unusual whales, once I get more comfortable with managing my emotions around options, around expirations, knowing the right time frame for getting those contracts, then I can dip my toes into getting multiple contracts at a time, and then trimming at 20%, at 40%. And then, if I get a really good hang of it, then I let some runners go and see where that takes me. And so over the past couple weeks, I've established positions where I swung for 20%, and it was great. But then some of those ran for what would have been a 100% swing. But they don't always do that. And more often than not, what I have seen is that these contracts will swing for about 20%, and then they'll come back down. And so I've done kind of a rinse and repeat type of thing. But then I see, oh, well, that one ran 100%. I should have held on to that one. And then the next contract, I'm not going to do it at 20%. I'll do it at 40%. And then it goes up to 25% gain, what would be a 25% gain for me, and then it pulls back. Rinse and repeat. I wasn't doing that. And so for me, as I'm learning how to manage options, learning how to utilize unusual whales, my rule, and you do you do what works for you, is establish individual contract positions, swing them for 20%, either, re-enter if there's a pullback, or, walk away, be happy with the 20% gain. And so, so those are kind of my rules of thumb. And so in this video, sorry for the long intro, I will include timestamps. I am probably going to explore some unusual whales options activity with the tickers up here because I'm interested in them. Of course, AMC, CHWY has been very interesting lately, and I do have an example for CHWY that I'll go over first. GameStop, of course. NEO has been really interesting. I actually had a $6 strike call that I could have swung for 20%, but I felt like it would be going a lot higher, so I held on to it, but I had a stop loss. And those stop losses above my entry got filled, and so I was left not holding the bag. When it took off, I would have made about 100% on that. But I do think that there could be a pullback with NEO before continuing higher later on. So I think NEO is really interesting, whether it's for calls or puts. I'm interested to follow that one more closely. And I used to have a larger share position, but I exited that, just trying to manage risk. That's just something that I'm working on, and I could have made more money if I would have diamond handed those shares, but I wouldn't be learning how to manage risk better if I wouldn't have done that. So, I'm happy about that, and I'm happy about the lessons that I've been learning, attempting to swing NEO calls for very small gains, which, like 10%, when it could have been 20 or 100%. But that's just the way it goes. You don't want to chase, and I think that you've really got to manage that with options. You also have to manage that risk with the stop loss, and that's something that I am still working on. And then so another one that I want to go over is Rivian. That I wanted to do a video on that, but this actually got voted on. 2 people voted for me to do unusual whales. 1 person voted for Rivian. If I do post polls on the channel, make sure you vote, because it will reflect what kind of content I produce. Rocket Lab, that has just been on a tear lately. I actually have a put on it, though. I do think that we will see a little bit of a pullback. I could be wrong. SoFi, I've been swinging puts, and I do have, actually I don't have a put right now, but I made a little bit of money swinging some puts. Unity also, I do have a call contract with them, and then Walmart, that's one that I'm kind of interested in, but probably not really to get too into it. But anyways, I am going to switch over to the CHWY chart because I did want to go over an exchange that I had on X, which And so, yeah, I'm not going to edit this. So before I get over to X, I did want to point out this playlist on Unity software. I forgot to mention it earlier. I did mention it, but I didn't pull it up. So on the channel, on DGen Ed, you can find playlists. I try to organize tickers into different playlists, and so you kind of see my evolution of my analysis. And so this one, I try to do the most recent ones at the top, but this one I think is really important. This is my video on Unity software being in a dip buying zone about 3 months ago, and I was spot on with that. And then, just about a month ago, not knowing anything about the options activity regarding Unity software and the increased activity there, I put out this video a month ago on Unity software, slingshot pullback before moon. And so I was calling for it to come down to 1550, or that's what my plan was to dip buy, came down to 1569. And then, it's basically gone up from there. I'm going to switch back to the Unity software chart here. But so that's from the low here, it's gone up about 45% or more, right around 44% right now. And so from this, graphic, drop down to 10% and 15, 30, and now we're at 45. And I think it could be going up to 100%. I think there's more upside for it. I did kind of an update, noting that I had this here, and I noted some of the unusual whales data that I'd been looking at for it. And so I just think it's a really nice example of, not simply following the herd. If there is something going on with unusual whales options activity or people on social media talking about a certain stock, but this goes back 3 months for me, looking into the stock, noticing technical patterns that made me think that there was going to be a breakout, following up on that and just building upon that. I think it's still going to be going higher in the months to come. Somebody asked on X if it was going to be going up to 30 in October. I think there's quite the possibility that it could be, but I think it's a very dynamic time in the market, so I think it's good to be kind of like managing risk, whether risk on or risk off, you do you, but I think it's good to recognize that there is some risk going on with it, just in the markets in general. And so, yeah, I just think that this is a really nice example of using technical analysis to, as a base, and then using options data to further inform and to execute plays that print. And so that's what I want to be doing with this channel, and just like documenting my journey with that. And I think that this is just like a great example of not only the technical analysis being spot on with this one, not all of my calls are right. Look at Rocket Lab recently and Plug, I had to kind of do a flip-flop in that analysis. I'm not perfect. I'm learning as I do this, but I just think that this is a great example of just like simple technical analysis, mapping something out, and then it being supported by options data. But anyways, I did mention that I would start with CHWY because I have an example from X, so I'm going to switch over to that. And so here, this is from the Bronx Viking. I recommend following him. He's also does a lot with Colin Gladman and The Wolf of My Street, which is Ryan Rigg, I believe is his name. And they're great as far as posting information, sharing ideas about unusual whales. They also have Discords, things like that. So you guys can get involved with them if you like. I think they seem like really great teachers. I usually just follow their free content, because like I said, I'm a small fish. I don't have a lot of money to be doing this, and I'm just kind of learning as I go. But anyways, Bronx Viking posted this yesterday on September 27th. What doing CHWY? Someone hammering $31.50 calls for next week. And so with that, we can see on this that, this actually doesn't show anything regarding $31.50 calls for next week. This is showing, we can see the CHWY price here, that's in blue, that's reflected right there at $30.20. And then net premium in puts, that's going to be in red, so that's going down as the price goes up. That makes sense. And then net call premium is, like skyrocketing. And so I will dive into, how one can find this contract. I'll find it with you guys so you can see that as an example. And that really comes about by me asking Bronx, how do you get alerts for activity, or do you just check certain stocks and notice when things stand out? Because he was mentioning this strike for calls, but then this is looking at the premium. And so he just recommended I check out this video from Unusual Whales, which I actually explored. I looked at when I first started with Unusual Whales. And I actually had looked at a general alert and then also one specifically for CHWY, but then I just deleted those because I kind of wanted to go over this specific example and build from the ground up, because now that I'm more comfortable with the Unusual Whales, I can better utilize this information to then, spot things, based on alerts and then take action. And one thing that I should note too is that from Unusual Whales, I was previously looking at alerts from the Discord and following up on those. But I found that it was, like, for me at least, kind of too much noise because I didn't know too much about the stocks. But like ones like CHWY, GameStop, AMC, the ones that I listed, I follow those companies, I follow those stocks, so I'm more familiar with how they react to things. And so I think it's better to do that to kind of like filter out the alerts, filter out the noise to identify, what stands out. And so CHWY, this is a familiar one. And so I'm curious to look at that to see what he's talking about, to understand this a little bit better. And so the video that he recommended from Unusual Whales, you can subscribe to them on YouTube. They put out a lot of educational content. Some of it's longer format, which I don't necessarily prefer. Some of it's shorter content, like this video, how to set up custom alerts on Unusual Whales. This is like a 5.5-minute long video. And so I set up the alert that is in that video. And I will include a link to that video in the description of this video, as well as links to follow Bronx Viking, Colin Gladman, and Ryan Rigg on X, so you guys can connect with them, see what they're posting about, and I'll include a link to this video. But yeah, I do have this alert set up, and so that is right here. And so everything that I have here is exactly what is set up in that. This is for all contracts. And if I scroll down, this is the thing that I wasn't really too familiar with. I had set up the alert, but I didn't know where the alerts appeared. And so they are on, if you go to unusualwhales.com and then you go to this menu on the left, go to screeners, or, that's the binoculars icon, or, with it minimized, you can just go to binoculars, go to screeners, and then custom alerts. And so that's where I'm at. So that's how you navigate to this. And so, I've just done the default for all stocks, and just to kind of filter out the noise. And, from this, there are some tickers that I'm familiar with, some that I'm not so familiar with, but one that does stand out is CHWY, but this is the $32.50 call, that strike for next Friday, October 4th. So it's similar to what Bronx Viking was posting about, but this is for the $31.50 calls. So I'm curious to look at that one to see if I can get the same kind of chart. And so from over here, I've got my alerts, and then there's also preset alerts. For me, this is like too much noise. I'm not that familiar with this stuff, so I'm just going to go to my one custom alert, which is the contract alert for all, the one that's created in that video from Unusual Whales. And so let's see. Ah, crap. No alerts yet. Oh, so I had... That sucks. This is a bad example. I had an older version of this, and it had like legacy data in it. But I guess because I refreshed it or something, I had just created this. So I'm kind of surprised that it's not showing up now. So here, let's see. I had just, I might actually do this. Maybe I'll do this on a... This is frustrating because I just did this. Okay, well, so what I could do, contract alerts, I'm here. No alerts yet because I just created that. that's frustrating. And so what I can do, maybe I can just create this again based on what's in the video. And so what was done in the video, I believe this was a minimum premium of 2,000. The spread is 0 and 0. And then let's see, volume over open interest. So that's really just like when there's a spike in volume. Basically if something like dormant, the open interest is kind of flat. And then if volume is 2 times open interest, that's something worth paying attention to. So that was set to 2. And then if I come down here, as far as issue types, I want to do just common stock. And then I want to turn on is out of the money and volume greater than open interest. And so this should be that. And so now that I have created that alert, let's see. Yeah, so no alerts yet. I don't know why, because I just had this up here. So that's kind of frustrating. Ah, man. So I guess I shouldn't have done this example during the weekend. I should have not refreshed or something. Or maybe I can adjust this to be, let's see, fumbling here, fumbling here. Let's see. Just gonna refresh this page, contract alert, go to all. Yeah, that kind of bums me out because I just confirm that delete, go to this. My alerts, no alerts yet. Today's alerts only. So that's like a nice way to filter this. Options contracts. Man. Contract alert, my alerts. Yeah, so this is not so good. This is a bad example. I'm sorry about that. Bums me out. So yeah, I'll have to do this another day. Because it's unfortunate because I did have that contract pulled up. So I might, let's see, CHWY. There's nothing. Why can't I include data from Friday? Let's see. Yeah, so I'm not going to be able to. Yeah, so anyways, I think what I'll do is I'll probably just post this video for members. And so I'm sorry that I kind of screwed this up, but I'll do a follow-up probably Monday. I'm not working Monday or Tuesday. I'm only working Wednesday and Thursday this coming week. So once, there's more options data in here after I have, created that alert, I'll follow up on this. But, from that, I was able to find this contract, which the premium for it, I can at least look that up on Unusual Whales. And so the way that I would probably do that is I think I would go to the screeners over here, Unusual Whales Tools, Ticker Explorer, Screeners, and let's see. Stock data. Let's see. How do I normally do this? Contract lookup. I think this is how I would normally do this. And I probably maybe have some stuff on CHWY. No. So for CHWY, I just come here to, this is, open interest contract lookup. So that is from this tab, options data, contract lookup. And so now I'm here. And so I'm just going to look up CHWY, the one that's most popular by volume, is the one that Bronx Viking was posting. So, I guess maybe I won't do this just for members. Maybe I will do this for everybody, but just so we can kind of, see how to find that contract. This is that contract. And I believe, let's see. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty interesting because, and you can see this over here. And I should note too, sorry, I'm all over the place. I just kind of screwed up, that stuff. I believe that, the times here, I'm in Central Time. I'm in the Midwest. So times are going to be Central. They're not going to be East Coast. But, this is the contract that Bronx Viking posted. And so we can see here that around 1, which would be for me around 2, or no, I guess around 12, yeah, because East Coast. So around noon, it starts going up. And we can see that premium traded for the day on Friday was $4.6 million. And we can see that the net premium, or so not, let's see, is that premium traded on that day? Let's see. No, the premium traded on Friday, we come down here. That's 659,000. And let's see, so from up here, we can see 659,000 over there. As far as net premium, so this is not contract specific, but this is for the day of the 27th, $4.6 million in contracts traded. And then we can also see here over on the left side, the bid is 5.6 thousand, the ask is 9.9 thousand. So that means more contracts are buying. As you can see, the premium has gone up and we can see that spike. And so for me though, one of the rules that I have for myself is I don't like to trade contracts that expire, a couple weeks from when I buy them, just because I get a little bit too anxious about it going to zero. And so this is $31.50. The price is $1.50 below the strike. So there is a possibility that it could be going in the money. But I think that this premium is probably going to be going down since the price is lower than that premium, or than the strike. So, I mean, I think this one's kind of risky, but it's maybe one that's of interest to watch. And, we can look at this and see, I find this data down here to be really interesting. Open interest, prior to Friday the 27th was around 250, 270 contracts. But then we see a volume traded of 17,000 contracts. So that's pretty massive. The majority are on the ask side, about 60%. And, we can see up here, majority on the ask side, less on the bid side. So that suggests that, we can look at this, volume traded here, 17,000. So that is, the bid plus the mid plus the ask. And so we can see, actually, I'll pull up the calculator. Because I'm not, I was switching apps, not pulling up this app. So, and I want to be on the internet. All right, so here, what we can do, I've done this in a previous video, but maybe this is a little bit more casual, more accessible. But what we can do is, take the bid volume, so that's 5,610, add to that the mid volume, which is 1,780, and I believe those are kind of like, neutral. So it's kind of tough to distinguish whether or not those are buys or sells, whereas the bid is more likely a sell, the ask is more likely a buy. And then so from that, we can also add the ask to that. That's 9,940, and we should get 17,258. So that's how you get those numbers. And this is all specific for the one day, because you can see up here, September 27th, that is one day. And then we also have one day up here. If I were to change this to like 2 days or 3 days, these numbers would change because it would reflect the values, the volume traded over the past few days, although they're not going to change too much, because if we do, I'm just going to change that back to one day. If we do scroll down to here, there was not much open interest, not much volume traded in previous days. And so, Yeah, I mean, this is looking like kind of a spicy contract that we might be seeing it go up. And so maybe this is something to swing for 20%. But for me personally, what I want to do, the market's not open right now, pre-market's not open right now. So I kind of want to see where CHWY is trading at before open. If it's lower than 30, maybe this premium would drop to around 30 cents. That's $30 per contract. I'd be willing to risk 30 bucks because it's 30 cents times 100 shares per contract. That's 30 bucks. I'd be willing to risk 30 bucks to swing this for 20%, which would only be a $6 gain. So that's nothing too exciting, but that's, the way that I would manage risk in case this were to close out of the money that is below 31.50, then, that is not something I want to be like antsy about, especially, I don't know about you guys. Not every day, but my schedule is kind of weird. I'm on an odd rotation that changes every week. But every 2 weeks, I work every day of the week once. And so this coming week, I'm working Wednesday and Thursday. And so I'm not going to be able to pay attention to the charts or anything, when I'm at work. And so because of that, I can't really be getting too heavy into this stuff that expires so soon, especially if I'm working during the week. And so this is something that Monday and Tuesday I'm not working, so maybe I could establish a position and swing it. Or maybe I just look and observe. But anyways, this is that contract that the Bronx Viking shared over here. It's just that, there's this big spike here. At the time that he posted it, I don't know if you guys can see it, premium traded, for this contract was almost $2 million, with the net premium being about 110,000. So I'm not really sure about how to distinguish between those two. It's a pretty big difference in the number, but the premium, I believe, in total traded on that day is, I guess my impression would be that this is, like 1.2 million dollars traded, but the net from that trading is a positive $110,000 going into CHWY. And for me, if like a net premium is like 10,000, by Wall Street's definition, a YOLO is 10,000. And so that could just be like a degen trading and not really having much behind it. But something that's 100,000, that's getting more serious. $1 million traded, that's getting more serious. But anyways, we see that over here, and we see that the premium for the day was 4.6 million. So it's like almost 4 times what it was around noon on my time, or 1 p.m. Eastern time. And then the net premium 360,000 versus when he posted this, it was 110,000. So that's some data to be paying attention to. And so I find like these graphics to be really insightful. You see that there was this large order. If I hover over that candle, the candle premium says 257,000 and some change is the candle premium, with 4,150 contracts being on the ask side, 2,900 being on the bid side, and 644 being on the mid. And so that is saying that the majority are buying, that they're bullish. And following that, we see this go up, and we don't see a dump of those calls. So whoever bought these calls is still holding, and they're, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line with it. And so we can see total premium here for the day on this specific contract, whereas up here, this is not specific to the contract. This is CHWY contracts overall. And so here we see 659,000 total premium traded on the day, with 58% of that being on the ask side. And so if we pull up the handy dandy calculator once more, I can do, let's see, and some more mathing. We can do, 659,133. So that is, this total premium number here. And I can multiply that by 0.58, which is this 58%. And so we can see that 3,000, there's no comma there. So this is, the cursor is where the comma will be. 382,000, about $300 are going long on this. And so that is, That's a lot of money. That's bullish on this with it expiring pretty soon. So, whether or not, one wants to partake in this contract, I may or may not. I'll decide pre-market on Monday probably. But regardless of that, this is data that informs that people are putting a lot of money on CHWY going up over the course of the next week. So even if somebody just wanted to swing, let's say one share from $30 to for $1.50 up to $31.50, that's a profit of $1.50. That's not nothing. And that might be like, a nice way to kind of monitor this and manage the emotions and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I was hoping, and on that note, I will probably end this video, although I did say, I'd like to look into, so I'll just end on Rivian because I wanted to talk about this. I wanted to do a video on Rivian, but I got to get to bed soon. And so, with that being said, I just recently put out a video, and I can actually pull that video up. Let's see if I go to this, and I go back, my playlists, I should have a Rivian, RIVN playlist. And so we can search for that. Oh, and I want to do this under playlists. Man, why am I not able to search the Rivian playlist? Oh, okay. Yeah, well, anyways, this video, which, yeah, why aren't the playlists created playlists? Unity software. I think I just recently created that. But there should be one on Rivian up here. Let's see. Sorry for my disorganization, but I've been working all day and I'm tired. Let's see. Yeah, I try to organize all this stuff. I don't know how useful this is. Actually, I can probably just do a regular search, RIVN. Dang it. I totally have. Yeah, where? Rivian. There we go. Where is it? Okay, yeah, so right here, down at the bottom. So I'm just going to do this to view the whole playlist. So, these are all of my videos on Rivian. This video right here, Rivian bottom before massive measure move 3 months ago. What happened after that? Massive move. So I'm very proud of that video. And this video I just put out less than a week ago, Rivian stock after 11% drop. In that video, I talked about Rivian coming down to around $11 a share. And what happened? Rivian came down to $10.95. Also, filling this gap over here. So I think that's pretty nice. But, with this, I'm really curious. And I feel like Rocket Lab and let's see, what's the other one? Plug are good examples of me being a little too stubborn about certain levels, or maybe just not being exactly right in my calls. I think Rocket Lab really is the good example of me being too stubborn on the call. And so what I was doing with that for this dip, I was waiting for price to come down to 550. What did it come down to? Came down to 574. So basically the exact same thing that happened with Unity software. And so I was waiting for it to come down, and then it took off and it left me behind. And so with Rivian, I'm wondering, and I guess related to that, if I have a bearish thesis that this is going to come down to $11 a share. So in the thumbnail of that video, I included this big red candle. Didn't include these candles. It came down to $11 a share. So, following that, is price going to continue coming down, or is now the time to flip to be bullish? And so I feel like my gut's telling me, which probably don't want to listen to your gut. My gut's telling me that, now is the time to, my target was hit $11 a share, and it does look like we're at this downtrending level that has acted as, prior resistance over here. We could be bouncing from that. Maybe it's just the little bounce that we saw on Friday going up about 4%, almost 4% on the day. Maybe that's the bounce. But so yeah, I'm very curious about this because I have a small position in Rivian. I'd like to add to it, but I don't want to add to it if it's going down to $10 a share, or if it's going back down to $8.25 a share. I'd rather wait until it gets to the bottom there. But if it's about to take off, if this is the time to not be so stubborn, not to be like, oh, I think it's coming down to 10, I'm going to wait for it. maybe now is the time for, to see this bounce. And so I was thinking that unusual whales might be a really good tool for kind of getting a sense for what the direction of this is going to be. So I am going to flip back over to the contract lookup, and I am just going to type in Rivian so we can look this up together. And so I just hit the return so we can see all of these contracts. These are the highest volume contracts. That's how they're ordered. So the one at the top, that's a lot of activity on it. But, what we're going to see is whether they're calls or puts, we're going to see the expiration. So these top three makes sense that there was a lot of volume on Friday because these all expired on Friday. So that kind of makes sense. So we want to go to the next one down on the list, which is October 4th, which is this coming Friday. And then following that, we have November 15th, October 4th, November 15th. These are all calls. So that's making me think Rivian's more likely to bounce from this purple downtrend after having filled this gap at 1101. And so I feel more compelled to not necessarily buy a call, but to, get my average down, because my average is, I think, around 13. Very small position, though, like I said. Get my average down before it takes off, or maybe consider getting one of these contracts, just one of them to swing for fun. And so, but this would be breaking my rule other than, the November 15th one as far as, expiring pretty soon. But so what we can see about these is the volume for these at the top, over 10,000 contracts traded on Friday. So that's a lot. But then this one for October 4th, this is about, 8.7 thousand contracts, majority on the buy side, but it's not too heavy on the buy side. It's about 50-50. These, though, are more on the buy side, and same with this call, the $14 strike that expires November 15th. So that's actually kind of an appealing contract. And so, I am intrigued by that for myself, personally. And if we look at the price, could I see price going up to 14? 14's right around here where the cursor is. I could see it bumping into some resistance around $13. This red line's at $13.30, and just being approximate, it goes back to, I think, a pivot low over here before this big move, and we saw some resistance here around that level, support here before the breakdown. And so, 13 to 14, I could see price getting up to that range. But let's kind of explore this data a little bit. And so I'm going to do it starting from the top and going down. And so, so the way that I want to do this is, let's see, I think I add these to my list on the left. And so I think I already have some on here. And so let's see. I kind of, already added some stuff here. But okay, wait. Let's see. Click on this. I think I add the plus sign. Man, maybe I need to refresh this. And okay, so I don't know what was going on with that. But so I've got, so I'm just going to scroll back down here. Sorry about that being a little bit buggy. Whoa. Okay, well, so this is that specific contract. So I need to type in Rivian again. And so I have all of these here. And so I have, let's see, what do I have over? So I don't have them over there. So what I want to do is add this one. Why can't I? Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to type it in here and I'll add them this way. So this is the first one. And, I think I need to add it to the watch list. It says it's on the watch list. Rivian, I don't see a... Oh, they're at the bottom here. Okay, sorry about that. These are organized by... I think I just need to click this, A to Z. Okay. And so, okay. Excuse me about that. And so what I'll do, because I just want to Rivian here. Okay. And then let's see, from this, I got these two added, I believe. Those are, yeah, the 10-4s right here. 10-4, 10-4. And then $15 strike. So, and then, oh, and that's the one that I'm actually more interested in. So let's see. Rivian, this one right here. So I have these other contracts. I might actually delete. I guess I won't. So I'm going to, sorry, I'm being very unprofessional. I am going to just write this down in my little notepad so I don't forget which ones. So for Rivian, I want to look at the $14 call, wait, no, sorry, crap. I'm being very unprofessional. So I'm just going to put the cursor over it. The $12 call for 10-4. Then the $13 call for 10-4. Then the $15 call. So I was talking about $14. I meant 15, I guess, because there's more volume traded on that. But that's 11.15. And then I've got the 12.50 here, which is 10-4. And then this $14 call. Yeah, so I'll look at all of these. And that should be 11.15 expiration. Just to see if there's, basically, this is telling me that I think Rivian's going to be going up, that I think 11 was the bottom. And yeah, and then the next one down is this put, which just seems like, and actually, it's like looking at this data, this stuff is all expired, so we can forget about it. It expired on the 27th. That's in the past. That was yesterday, as I'm recording this the evening of Saturday, September 28th. These are all in the future. These are all calls. Majority are on the buy side. Then we look at this first put. Majority is on the bid side or the sell side. And so that tells me this is actually bullish. These here, this one's kind of neutral, but, calls. So seeing lots of calls. But anyway, so I'm going to go down this list over here now that I found them, looking at the one that has the most volume first, which is the $12 strike for October 4th. And this doesn't really stand out to me, just like, this premium and stuff for the calls. For Rivian, actually, yeah, this doesn't stand out to me like the CHWY one, stood out. So this doesn't blow my mind as far as this goes. And this should look the same for any of these contracts because it's the same ticker. But we can see, yeah, nothing too crazy there. 10-4, but 13. Let's see, this seems a little bit more intriguing because here we can see the ask 4.5 thousand volume, bid 3.3 thousand. And we can see here that the open interest is not like going up too crazy. Was there an alert here? Volume has exceeded open interest. So yeah, because volume exceeded open interest on Friday, you can see there. So this one's intriguing, but it seems like kind of a mixed bag. There's red and green in it. This one, the $13 strike, this is predominantly more red, 4.888 thousand. Yeah, versus 1.7 thousand on the bid side. So this seems like, a better contract. And let's see, the premium is like $10. So maybe that's something fun to worth risking. $10, see what happens. Swing that 20%, make $2, nothing crazy. But yeah, that's something. And then, so let's see, the next one on the list that was most popular, $15 strike, but the November 15th. And so this is actually kind of intriguing to me. We can see that, let's see, it's just this one big order here, really. This is similar to the other one, 4,000 contracts on the ask side, 1.7 thousand on the bid side. And we see that, was there an alert today? There was not on Friday. No, but open interest is like 10,000, whereas the other one that stood out to me was the $13. That is, let's see, open interest is smaller. So, but I mean, it's expiring soon, so maybe it's risky. It's not a monthly, so that makes sense too. October 18th is a monthly. November 15th is a monthly. October 4th is a weekly contract. And so, yeah, I mean, looking at this one, this seems interesting. This is, about $45 or 45 cents per contract, or $45 per contract, which here is listed as 45 cents because it's 100 shares per contract. So that's why it's like that. It's kind of confusing. I kind of use 45 cents and $45 interchangeably. But yeah, so I mean, maybe that's of interest. Although I don't necessarily think that the price is going to get back to 15 by then. If we look at the chart, 15 is right here. I mean, it's like, there's nothing really calling me to 15 other than like this gap over here, but we've already filled that. So, I mean, like, I feel like it's probably going to bump into resistance at like 13. I mean, but it could be blown past that. I do think that this is support. This is really just to forget about the contracts. This is just to, kind of verify that it's time to flip. I have a bearish thesis that I think it's coming down to 11. That thesis is fulfilled. Then I need to reevaluate. Is it going to continue or is it going to go higher? Unusual Whales is suggesting to me that it's probably going to be going higher. And that's, just over the span of the next week. But these contracts could just be to swing, to not hold for very long, to swing for a day maybe. Then the next one on the list, this is November 15th. Well, actually, this is not on the list. This is the fifth one that was most traded. The next one is going to be $12.50, $10. Let's see. I need to look this up. $12.50. Oh, not Rocket Lab, Rivian. So the one that I'm looking for, this one here. So I want to look at that. So we got that added on there. This one's interesting. A big spike here. This is, the premium of that candle, 40,000. So it's 4 degens, YOLOing. So take it with a grain of salt. This pulls back. So, yeah, I mean, but this is also like, risking $20 versus 13. I mean, but in all honesty, if there's something like, this is the other thing that's really nice about options is like for this contract, the open interest is 4,000, volume traded on Friday was like almost 6,000, but we have about 3,000 on the ask side, about 2,000 on the bid side. So it's going to go up by about 1,000. So maybe 4,000 contracts. So you got 4,000 contracts of data that you can see whether or not people are buying or selling more. But with something like the $13 strike that I have an asterisk on because I think it seems more interesting, this we can see that, the ask is about close to 5,000. This is close to 2,000. And so you're going to see an increase of about 3,000 contracts. So it's going from here, open interest of about 5,000 to about 8,000. So it's increasing and you have more contracts that are open interest as data to kind of evaluate. Are they selling? Are they buying? Maybe I want to do what they're doing. And so this is like they're buying and it's come down and it's only 10 cents or $10 to risk. And so maybe this is a fun one to swing, for fun. And that's what this channel is about. DGen Ed, having fun, looking at charts. And then the last one that I want to look over is the $14 call. This one, just not too exciting. Open interest 8,000. Let's see, kind of compare this with the $15 strike. This one has, so 4,000, 2,000, about 4,200, but 1,000 on the mid. This is 8,000 open interest plus about plus about 3,000. So this is 8,000 open interest to about 3,000. So that's 8 plus 3 is 11,000 open interest approximately starting Monday. Whereas this one is already, kind of on that level. So both seem pretty intriguing. This one is, you know, $15 strike. This is risking about $45. And I have that noted. This one, $14. This is risking about $63. Is that, let's see, what's that? $62, about 60, let's say. Maybe it pulls back a little bit. Yeah, so regardless, this makes me think that Rivian has bottomed. And so, yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much all I wanted to do with this. I wanted to go over Rivian for those who are interested. I kind of wanted to emulate or recreate what the Bronx Viking had posted here. I was able to find this chart, but not by the alerts that in the video that he suggested I look at, which I did look at, and that was this video, which I'll post in the description of this video so you can check that out. And, but, you know, I will probably do a follow-up, you know, just to kind of go over this. And, yeah, this video is about an hour long. I will put timestamps for the intro, the CHWY stuff, and the Rivian stuff. And I hope this was helpful for you guys. I am just going to switch back to the chart here. And also I will include a, you know, a timestamp to the Unity software stuff because I think that's cool too. But anyways, if you did enjoy this video, I'm going to actually start that over. And this is going to be a rough edit you guys are going to have to deal with. But, you know, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thanks a lot for watching, and hope you guys are having a great weekend. Take care.